This video is part of a playlist that happens every third Friday. The theme this month is Land of the Brave, Home Decor Ideas, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it after the first project. Project number 1. Land that I love. I'm going to use these Stars and Stripes flowers that I found at Dollar Tree. And I have these ribbons in my stash for quite a while. This love sign I purchased at a thrift store for 50 cents. It was broken. And then I have this vertical sign that I got from Dollar Tree back in the fall. And I set it aside and I've been looking at it for quite a while, wanting to make something with it. And today is finally the day. I love the jute string on it and I don't even take it off when I'm working on it. I'm not quite sure why I thought it would be too difficult, but that's what I did. So I managed to wiggle out the love letters. Oh, love letters, that's so cute. Anyway, I go ahead and sand the back of the letters because that's where they're going to be glued. I trim off the little nubbies on the bottom using my wire cutters. And I sand that. It's not going to be super visible because it's going to be right on the bottom of the sign. And you just see me sanding off the bottom there. And I'm going to have some screenshots in this portion of the, there's 2 portions of the video that it's not going to be live video. I just had some cropped video, but I did want to show you the process. So I'm coming in with some Castle chalk paint over the black and then another coat, but this time with white. And then I'm happy with that color. So we're going to set it aside and I'm going to use some burnt umber acrylic paint on the back of the sign. And it makes it look like it's not the back of a Dollar Tree sign. And it looks so good with the jute on there. All right, so coming up with the screenshots, it's showing how I applied the Cricut vinyl words. And well, actually, I'm sorry. It's not going to be vinyl words. I made a Cricut stencil. So I weeded the letters out, put it on transfer tape, put it on the top of the sign. I measured it when I created it to be 9 inches because that was the width of the word love. So I wanted this to be the same and right on top. Then I came in with chalk paste, not paint, and sponge dauber, not a squeegee. So I switched things up a little bit, but I love how it came out. There's no bleeding. I just peeled up the vinyl there, and I did it very slowly because it was stuck on there good, but that's also why I didn't have any bleeding. And now I'm done with the painting, so I'm going to apply the love letters with my 2 glue method of Elmer's wood glue and then just some regular hot glue. I put the Elmer's wood glue on, usually let it sit for a minute or 2, and then I get the hot glue in the spaces that I left for it. I don't like to mix the 2 glues together, as you'll see there. And then just apply it. And then I'm going to make my 2 bows. Red bow for the left, a blue bow for the right. So we'll have our red, white, and blue. And I make my bow as usual with the awareness shape. So I cut 2 equal lengths of both colors because I want them both to be the same size. And then I go ahead and make the awareness shape, scrunch it together, and tie it in the middle with the jute. And the blue bow I did exactly the same. And then I made little bouquets with those florals, 3 florals to each bouquet, and glued the bouquet on first with the hot glue and then the bows underneath it like you see in those screenshots. And then I'll just dovetail the bottom and use a regular office stapler to apply a hanging rope on the back, and I'll give you a better look at the final reveal. Jumping in with a little bit more information about the playlist. Kate from So Kate is the host of this playlist, and her co-host this month is Lolly from Lolly D's Creations. This is an open collab, so if you're interested, contact one of the hosts. Their links, as well as a link to the playlist, will be in my description box below. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Project number 2. Sea to Shining Sea. So for this project, we're going to use some florals that I purchased last year, just the blue ones. I have some ribbon that I got this spring, and I'm going to choose one of those. My dark blue burlap ribbon, some white chalk paint, this sparkly white beachy kind of pick that I got from Dollar Tree not too long ago. Then this cool flexible stencil that I also purchased at Dollar Tree and been like so excited to use, and it's going to go so well with this charger that I got oh gosh, a couple months ago probably. So I'm going to make a swag for the top. And I'm going to do the stencil in the middle. And I'm going to border the middle with these beads. So I'm going to paint the little starfish shaped parts just white. And then I'm going to rub the cube beads, like the square beads, with some burnt umber acrylic paint, and I'm just going to use a baby wipe for that. Set it aside to dry. I'm going to wipe down the charger because, you know, just being in storage, you know, it can get kind of gunked up. So you want it to be nice and clean for your stencil. Before the stencil, though, I'm going to go ahead and drill some holes. I like doing that with these chargers, any charger really, because it's easy to drill and it gives you a much sturdier hanging cord or hanging rope, and it's pretty easy to do. So when I have the 2 holes, I'm going to use them to center the stencil, and then I'll just put down the stencil with some painter's tape and use a foam dabber that I got from Dollar Tree with some white chalk paint. And I do almost the whole stencil with the white chalk paint. I dip it in the paint, I unload a little bit so it's not globby, and then I dab it down on the stencil. But when I got to the bottom, I thought, oh, it's water. Let's add a little bit of blue. So just mix some blue in with the white, and then I turned it around so you guys could have a good reveal. There you go. I fixed up the little shell. It just needed some more shape and definition. And then the blue water was bugging me, so I laid the stencil back down, but I offset it and I dabbed on the white, and it kind of looks like it's above the blue, so it's like a wave with a shadow. It came out really good. So I'm using the florals and the white pick to make a little swag for the top, but it kind of came out small. You notice I made a bow that, you know, kind of the size I usually make, and it barely fits on top of the swag, so I'm not sure why. I think it was just the way the white pick went, but I'm working with it. So I chose the white ribbon that had it's got little starfish on it, like more pastel colored starfish. And I just did a regular shoelace bow to put it down on the blue bow there, because it was kind of getting lost with all the blue. But I still thought it wasn't substantial enough, so I did make a couple little bouquets to add on to it. I had these blue flowers in my stash, as well as some more of those beachy picks. This one is blue and sparkly instead of white and sparkly. I wrapped them with some floral wire, and I just hot glued them and stuck them underneath the swag that was already there. And I did the exact same thing for both sides. Now I'm going to attach the border for the words. Usually I use like a rope or, you know, some twine or something, but I had this little string of beads, and it just really spoke to me. It was like it belonged on this project. Just like the stencil and the charger belonged together. Sort of everything came together. So I put some E6000 on some random beads in each little grouping between the starfish. And then I came back and put hot glue, and what I did is I just flipped the beads so they were upside down. So now the glue is on the charger and the regular bead shows on the top. And once I was done with that, I grabbed a rope and put it through from the front and tied a knot in the back. And this was pretty much done. Looking at that red heart, and I grabbed a marker and colored it. It still wasn't white enough for me, so I had some white chalk paste out, and I went ahead and painted some of that on. And I'll give you a better look at the final reveal. Project number 3. The direction of your dreams. For this project, I'm using some cornstarch, some molds I purchased from Temu, a leaf, and a bird. I have this plate stand that I'm going to use because I'm not putting a hanger on it. Some white chalk paste from Chalk Couture, stencil, adhesive stencil from Chalk Couture, and a Jot chalkboard that I purchased from Dollar Tree. It measures in at 8 by 11. I'm going to go ahead and use a brush to put some cornstarch in the molds, and that's just so it's a little easier to get them out when they're ready. I warm it up in my hands first, and then push it into the molds, and put them in the freezer for about 15 minutes, and we'll come back to the molds in a little bit. For now, I'm going to go with the Chalk Couture portion of the project, and it's always fun. I'm going to trim the stencil, and this is a stencil I got in a lot that I purchased off eBay, and it was a great price for the amount of stencils that I ended up getting. So I actually played with the centering and measured it and put some dots there in the corners to guide me when I was putting the stencil down. And now that I have the stencil in a good spot, I'm just going to show you the whole process. I'm using a small squeegee, and I just took a regular squeegee and cut it in half. And then I'm using the white chalk paste on the whole thing. And I basically, get like an original squeegee done, and then I go back over it and try and even things out so it doesn't get all blobby. But I usually don't have trouble, especially on a surface like this. And watch this reveal. Ta-da! Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. So we're going to add an arrow at the bottom. I'm not sure why there's so many arrows on the stencil, but I'm only going to add one. And I love this sentiment. I think it might be out of the box for a patriotic theme, but I think it speaks towards, love of country and pride of country. And that's why I wanted to do it. So just doing the top arrow there, and again using this small squeegee with the white chalk paste. And it's nice to have the small one. You can put the paint on more precisely, especially with a stencil like this with so many other bits and pieces to it. And another ta-da! So there's the chalk paste reveal, and I'm going to show you the molds. This is how they came out, and I just took them out of the freezer and held them upside down and kind of nudged the clay out. And then, oh my gosh, it must have been like at least 20 minutes I took to just cut off the edges. It's kind of like fussy cutting, but for clay. And decided to put the 3 leaves in the corner and the little bird on the bottom, because the bird is flying in the direction of its dreams. For whatever reason, I chose to paint these pretty molds, and I believe that was a mistake. I used some B7000 to glue the molds. And look at that, I can't even put the top on. It's such a precise applicator. It took me so long to get them in the corners there. But then I looked at it and I'm like, I just didn't like the colors. I was going to put a raffia bow on there, and it just wasn't the theme I was looking for. So I chucked the raffia bow and I painted over the blue and green, and I just painted it white. And then I came in with one of my Stencil's chalk markers in the color white, and I did some dash lines on the sides, and I also came back and did some at the top as well. And look how easily it was to wipe that off. That's just a baby wipe, and I used a ruler this time to get it more straight. And this is such a good look for this sentiment and for this stencil, the white and black. I did, however, want a bow because we like our bows at Grace's Neighbor. So I did my regular bow using the awareness shape, scrunching it, wrapping it with some twine, but I also have a more narrow ribbon with the same design on it, and I used that in the middle to give it a nice clean look. More looks at the final reveal. You've made it to the end of the video, so I don't say it often enough, but thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on my pic right here, or you can have a look at my most recent video by clicking on the video there. Again, thanks for watching. I don't say it often enough, but I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.